All information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not consider your individual circumstances. You should consider the appropriateness of this information with regards to your individual objectives, financial situation, and needs. Welcome to Sharing More Than the Sheets, a podcast to help you and your partner make better financial and lifestyle decisions so that you can both focus on the things that you love. I'm your host, Michael Khouri, financial planner, green thumb, husband, and just dad. This segment is called Michael's Magic Moment. It's my opportunity to play a little snippet from one of our previous episodes, which resonated with our listeners, that I received feedback from, or I felt really had an impact on some people's lives. Hope you enjoy it. Everybody defines financial success differently. I've got my own version, you've got your own version. And I really enjoyed recording this episode. When I was listening back to it, it really brought back so many thoughts and emotions that I've had over the years, and even that I had at the time. Just talking to different people where everyone has a different version of financial success, but just the importance of really understanding what your version is and what's important to you. And to some people, it's not working. For some people, it's working less. For some people, it's doing charity work. For some, it's going on a holiday. For some, it's just having money in the bank. For some, it's having particular assets, but there's different versions of financial success. And in this episode, I really highlight the importance of having your own version, understanding your own version, and sharing that with your partner to make sure you're both on the same page, just so that you can work together and just so that you are on the same page and you know which direction you're both heading into or heading towards. Because if one of you is heading into one direction, the other's heading into the other, and you're both equally passionate about both, that can cause a few issues. So defining financial success, let's go back to this episode that I recorded back in 2023, and I hope you get something out of it. Could be putting food on the table. Could be your children's education. It could be retirement. It could be what to do when you retire. It could be to have the choice to retire. It could be so many different things. And this is why it's not a simple question. And to me, I find it so fascinating when I hear about people talking about this whole financial success thing, and I meet people that, again, are literally financially successful. And I feel like it is important for us to have wins. Like, we need not quick wins, but we need wins. We need certain milestones in our life that we can try to aim for, to reach, where once we reach it, it just creates this level of satisfaction. It's like, yes, I've achieved this level. I've done this I'm on my way to financial success, or I'm heading down the right direction, or I'm making the right decisions, or I'm doing the right things, or I'm in the right place, or in the right business, or in the right job. And if you can have these milestones, and if you can know what this path looks like, it makes it so much easier to go down. It makes it easier to go down that path, and it also makes it easier to stay on track as well. The reason I say this, just like any journey, traveling anywhere, you are going to reach obstacles. You are going to reach certain experiences that you've never been through. You're going to, things will be thrown at you, circumstances. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. It's the same thing with money. With money, when you're working towards something, it's so easy sometimes to get discouraged. It's so easy to fall off track. In fact, you're almost guaranteed to fall off track somehow because things are going to happen. But if you have this goal and you know what your version of financial success looks like, and you know what you're heading towards, it makes it easier to soldier on and to just keep going towards that. Yes, you might detour. Yes, that things might pop up and you'll have to do a little detour, and you might have to, slowly, things might slow down for a short period of time. But if you know where you're going, it's so much easier to get there in the end. Now, to many people, financial success, and I hear this regularly, people saying, look, I don't want to be a millionaire. I just don't want to worry about money. I just want to be able to go on a holiday. I want to be able to put my kids through the school they want to go to. If we need to buy something, I want to be able to buy it. I don't want to have to worry about money. And this is generally what I find most people want. They just want to have a particular lifestyle and they want to be able to maintain it. Now, in achieving something like this, it's not as hard as you think. And the reason I say that is because it may mean you may not have that straight away. It may mean that you may need to work hard for a period of time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, until you're at a point where your debt's paid down to a certain level, or you have investments, or you're able to have enough savings to get yourself into that position. So it may not happen straight away, but it's important to realize that you sometimes can't have your cake and eat it too. And what I mean by that is I meet so many people that are already living this ideal lifestyle, saying that they just want to maintain this ideal, perfect lifestyle. For some, it's possible, but for many, it's not. They don't have enough income. They don't have enough resources behind them to maintain what they have and also build for the future. So the point I'm getting to is that sometimes a bit of sacrifice is required, or having a trade-off discussion with your advisor or your partner and saying, look, this is what we really want and this is what we're willing to sacrifice. We understand that we can't have all these things now. We can't do the things that we want to do now, but we want to put a plan in place so that we can do it. And if you can have an advisor come back to you and say, look, this is what you can do. This is how. If you do X, Y, and Z, this is what our projections look like. Keeping in mind that they're only projections and no one has a crystal ball. It's going to, most likely, you're going to be more likely to achieve your goal compared to not really knowing where things are going. And secondly, you're going to be more likely to work towards that goal as well. The other thing as well is when you have this goal of financial freedom and what you want and you know what it looks like to you, you're going to be less likely to do things that will reduce the possibility of you achieving that goal. So for example, if your goal is to have X amount saved up by this particular period of time, you're going to be less likely to spend money on other things like random spending on, shopping, going to sales, to going to the shops to buy things that you probably don't need, little hobbies, excessive money spent on takeaway, like all there are things that I see regularly which deter people from achieving their goals. Sometimes it's hard to say no, but it's a lot easier to say no when you know what your goal is and you know what you're working towards, because you know what the end goal is. And I sort of am, when I'm talking about this, I'm thinking of a swimmer. I've had Grant Hackett on the show before. We talked about some of this, but as a swimmer, let's say your goal is to reach the Olympics, and let's say that your goal is to be good enough to one day be accepted into the Olympics, and to do that, you need to reach a certain level. And then let's say all your friends want to go out and party every night and go out to restaurants and eat whatever. And as an athlete, you know your goal, you know what your version of success is, you know what you need to do to get there. You're going to be less likely to go out with your friends to dinner late at night and eating things that you probably don't want to eat. You're going to be less likely to skip training. You're going to be less likely to do other things which deters you from training. You're going to be less likely from picking up bad habits that will affect your body, which will obviously reduce the probability of you getting into the Olympics. And when I talk about money, it's a very similar parallel. If you have a goal, you're less likely to be distracted. You're less likely to fall off track. You're less likely to let other things take priority because you know what you're working towards. Thanks for joining us on Sharing More Than the Sheets. Please make sure you subscribe to be updated with future episode releases, and feel free to share this episode with any friends or family that you think it might benefit. Please visit us at sharingmorethanthesheets.com.au to submit questions or requests for future podcast topics. These podcasts have been brought to you by Better Financial Planning Australia. To book a 15-minute phone chat, visit betterfinancialplanning.com.au.